Hey folks, how are you? A few minutes early, I was reading the comments. I was watching Voon Child, her video just prior to this, and Voon just wrapped her premiere up. So I was over there watching that. So that's something that we started a few weeks ago with a few other channels. MB Heritage, it's 6:15, and then Jewel Small Gardening at 6:30, and then Voon Child at 6:45, and then we go live at 7. And so that's always fun. Particularly, Ben, one of my favorite farm animals is the chickens, and so it's been really kind of cool watching Michael over at MB Heritage. Kind of basically, I've kind of referred to it in some of the lives in the comments as kind of Michael's playing like Frankenstein. He's got like how to make this new breed of chicken. It's really kind of cool. So I've been really enjoying that. I enjoy all of them, but chickens are right up my alley. Honestly, I love gardening. I've gardened all my life, but when I don't have the time to commit to it, it's just very frustrating to me. So you'll notice there's only one person in here tonight. Rick Edward, or Little Rick, he called me at about 4:15, said you could tell there was haste in his voice, and telling me that he was very frustrated that he is probably not going to make it by 7 o'clock. He was expecting to be home about 2:30 this afternoon. You'll note on the thumbnail for Mulberry Branch, he wasn't even able to finish that thumbnail. That was his plan this afternoon. And he ended up getting called into several emergency transports. So those that don't know Little Rick, he's a corrections officer, and he's a sergeant with the Florida Department of Corrections. And so he's a transportation sergeant. So he goes all over the state transporting inmates for medical purposes. So that's what he was doing today, was transporting folks back and forth between Jacksonville and the institution that he works at. So welcome, folks. There's a whole bunch of folks that have already rolled in. I saw a comment from Randy Smith. Randy, we don't ever go 2 hours and 7 minutes, except for last week's. And last week's was kind of special because that was kind of like our end of the year. So I apologize if that was too long, but we kind of wanted to do something a little bit special last week. Normally we try to hold them right to an hour, so usually it's plus or minus 5 minutes or so. But I appreciate you, and I haven't gotten an email from you yet regarding your shirt. Shoot me an email, give me your shirt size, color, and design, and I will get that ordered for you. So we have got Paula in here, Paula Wells, one of our moderators, Simply Jan, another one of our moderators from Simply Jan Homestead, great channel, MB Heritage Farms, appreciate you all, Twin Brook Acres, Rick, up at Twin Brook Acres, Jewel Small Space Gardening, welcome sir, welcome. Bobby Childress, that is MB Heritage Farm. That's the better half of MB Heritage Farm. So Michael might argue that, but he's going to be flat wrong. Bobby is the better half of MB Heritage. So that's out in the public domain now, Michael. I'm sorry. Who else we got in here? James or Angela, not sure which one. Probably James. Petways 3 Creek Farm. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you. Who else? Fugate Farms. Welcome. They were in here a couple of times. I think they've been in here a couple of times, been leaving some comments. So appreciate you visiting us. And I really apologize, folks, that haven't gotten feedback or comments back on your comments. They're coming. I just got to find the time. Work has been killing me. And same thing with Little Ray. That's why he's not here. Celtic Root Farm, how are you? Glad to see you. Mad Acre Farms. I think they're going to be our guest in 2 weeks. And we don't, at this point in time, we don't have the person or the channel that we had scheduled for our live for next week has backed out of that. They've got another commitment. So if anyone in here would like to be kind of shown on next week live, shoot me an email to that effect, and we'll have you on our live, kind of as we do every week, kind of spread the word about your channel, kind of see what makes you tick. That's always a lot of fun. Doug and or Shelley from His Way Homestead, welcome. Glad to have you. And I think I have captured all of them with that. So I'll try to kind of shout out folks as they come in. So tonight we are going to have Marky and Ashley from Mulberry Branch Farm. And we followed them, you know, don't watch them as much as we'd like to, because they kind of go live after we do it, like 8 o'clock. And you know, I gotta go spend some LaLa time, or LaLa gets mad. So after our live, I gotta go give Mama some time and attention. So that's what's going on there. So we got some other folks in here, Colette Fry. You know, once in a while I'll be able to kind of catch lives, particularly the ones that are going live during the day. Now that I'm working from home, I can kind of just sit here and listen to people as I'm working. And so I've been able to catch a lot more lives over the last couple of weeks, and that has been enjoyable, and kind of past the monotony of just sitting here in a room all by myself working. Brenda Baker, welcome. Colette Fry, that's the better half of Frank and Tina right there. Welcome. So normally, as you know, I normally bring on our guest around 7:10, 7:15 or so. And I was communicating with Ashley today, because I am a very delinquent mailbox runner. So we don't go to the mailbox very often. We've got to go into town. I have not had a mailbox on our property in 25 years, because I don't trust people are going to steal my mail. So I go to the post office, and we go in there probably once every week and a half or so. And we just happened to go in the day after Christmas, and what did we find but lots and lots of Christmas cards. So we shouted out a few weeks ago. So I asked Ashley's permission if I could kind of defer bringing them on for 10 minutes or so, and she did not seem to mind. So I am going to kind of just do some channel shout outs for you really quickly, and I'm glad so many of the folks are in here. So Whiskey and Sunshine Off Grid, so that's Scott and Shelley, one of my favorite channels. Scott is a hoot, and Scott has shouted out that he really appreciates my military fort and installation videos, which few people do, but I love doing those. So may peace and joy of the holiday season be with you throughout the coming year. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. Scott and Shelley. So thank you much. Whiskey and Sunshine Off Grid. Make sure you check them out. Next one is Kid Family Farm. This is a channel I've been following probably since he was under 50 subscribers, and he's just shy of 1,000 at this point in time. And this is from Kid Family Farm. This is Mac, Kim, Ella, and Anderson. Great family-oriented channel. Mac does a whole bunch of smaller videos, shorter videos, and I really, really enjoy everything that they do. This is another one of my favorite channels. This is Nona Grace. Nona Grace is a Western New Yorker, and you never know what Nona's going to talk about. She's got a small kind of urban homestead with her husband, has chickens, just got a great sense of humor, and Nona sent me a sticker of her channel. So thank you, Nona. I greatly appreciate that. And from Chef Beth and Jules Small Space Gardening, welcome. Great little card here. Much appreciated. Tony and Jackie Walsh. Tony's kind of taken on a new job in the last several months, so he's kind of backed off some on his channel, but he still does a handful of videos now and then. They are just up the road from us in Northeast Florida, around the Waycross, Georgia area. So that's Tony and Jackie Walsh from Walsh Farm. So check out that channel. Doug and Shelley from His Way Homestead. I think they're still in here. Says, thank you so much for your support. One day we hope to meet up in person. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Well, Doug and Shelley, thank you very much. That light's getting that really bad, isn't it? So much appreciated. Pafford Homestead. So this is wishing us a Happy New Year from Charlie, Brandy, and Autumn. Probably I know it pointed at the camera, huh? If I do it over here, the light gets it. So welcome, or thank you very much. This one is an awesome card. I'm wondering as I'm opening this up. This is just a really nice card. This is from Little Frenchie in Big Texas and hubby Jake from Nona, Texas on the back 20. So this is from Ann, Jake, Sophie, and Angeli. I think that's how Ann says it. She says it really with that French accent. It sounds much cooler than when I'm saying it right now. But thank you, Jake. Thank you, Ann and girls. They've got the cutest little girls you could ever imagine. They are precious little things. The Wallaces from Dusty Goat Homestead. This is one of our friends that we have met in the last few months. Got us connected with the folks that or they were one of the co-sponsors for the Gulf Coast meetup, and they got us to come over there. We were kind of exhibitors over there. So this is from the Wallace family at Dusty Goat Homestead. In fact, I think they're coming over here sometime later this month, and then we're going to be camping with them at Michael Keener's house. Going to be boondocking it. I think it's the end of February as well, the end of January. Wishing you holidays blessed, filled with lots of love. Thank you for your friendship, Rachel and John. So thank you much. I'm getting toward the end, I promise. Frank and Tina. So I saw Colette Fry in here a little bit earlier. That is the better half of Frank and Tina. So they know I love chickens. So there's the Frank and Tina card. Thank you, folks. They have got a wonderful family as well. We've had the opportunity to meet Frank and Tina at a little kind of South Georgia / North Florida meetup that kind of, I think there's like 4 or 5 channels that went and did that. This one is from Nisi at Free Handly Made. She is such a wonderful person. You know, it's sometimes in life you run across those folks that are just genuine, kind, nice people, and that's kind of where I'd put Nisi. I've never met Nisi, but you know, my work professionally is I'm in the social services is what I'm formally trained in, so I can read people generally pretty well, I think. And I've never met Nisi, but every time I've ever communicated with her, she is just the most kind, wonderful person I could ever imagine. So joy to the world, and we got one of Nisi's cool stickers. So thank you very much, Nisi. Much appreciate that. Michael Keener, this is a gentleman, this is one of our subscribers, non-content creator over in the Panhandle of Florida. This is where we're going boondocking in a few weeks on our RV because we are speaking at the Keepers of the Old Ways conference on how to get started in goats. LaLa and I are doing a session at that conference, and figured we'd just camp out at Michael's house. So one of the newer channels that we have just recently come across, and they are going to be on here in the coming weeks, is Mad Acre Farm, Brian and Jamie. So welcome. And then last but certainly not least, Voon Child. So Voon is one of our long-term subscribers, and I love Voon's content. Former Navy veteran as well. So lots of connections there. Wish you all a wonderful Christmas. Cheers to a better New Year. Well, Voon, I've told this to lots and lots of people. Given 2020 and then 2021, 2022 has nowhere to go but up. So I have modest expectations, but we're wishing for the best. So I know we got some more folks in here, and so Brenda Baker, Voon, our new land. Welcome, glad to have you. I think this is, I don't recall seeing you in here in the past, so this is your first time, then thank you very much for stopping by. Jeremy's Tournament Cats. I got to go check that channel just to see what that's about. I've never heard of a tournament cat, so I'd be curious for you to put in the comments what a tournament, if that's a thing, if that's a thing, I'll be interested in that. Adventures on the Homestead, welcome. I know they've been in here. Our new land, Mad Acre Farm. Michael Keener. Michael is in here. That's the gentleman I was just talking about that sent us the card, so thank you. Colette, thank you very much. love the card from you and Frank, so much appreciated. So I got a text message yesterday from Paula Wells, and Paula was, anyone who's kind of, Paul and some of the dialogue or discussion that we have had, she's kind of talked about how frustrated she has been over the last several months trying to get concrete sidewalk put in her garden area around her backyard. So I got a short video and pictures from Paula yesterday. So stay on the watch or stay on the lookout for that video from Paula Wells of her. I'm going to keep it kind of generally vague because it's not what I expected, and I doubt it's what you expected, because what Paula says, I'm having a sidewalk installed. So check out Paula's video. She texted me today and said it's going to probably be out tomorrow, Friday, that time frame. She's still in the editing process of that. So all right, Mountain Maple Ranch, welcome. And Lone Star Pioneering, welcome. How are you? So I was hoping that my son would come in here. So we're going to go super amateur tonight in terms of production. So what you see is what you get. And I'm going to take me off for just a moment because I was trying to be real fancy, and I put this background up. So that is two of our goats. As I don't think some people probably don't know in here, but our kidding season started last week, so it's about 7 days in the process now. I think ultimately we've got about, I think LaLa said 30 does to deliver. 17 or 18 of those are Kikos. And then we've got a small Nigerian herd, and so we're going to be, she staggered them, so I think we're going to be having babies through probably April or May of this year, various breeds. So that was one of our babies that was born yesterday, and that is by far, in my opinion, the cutest baby that has ever been born on our farm. And so our guests tonight are also goat people. So when I was going back through our videos, back through their videos, I always spend some time. I want to bring them up, and then I'll have this dialogue with them, and maybe they can add to it. So this is Mark and Ashley from Mulberry Branch Farm.
Hello.
So, hey, folks, how are you?
Good, yourself?
I am well. So normally it's myself and my son, and I don't know if you guys heard what's going on, but he got stuck where he was supposed to be home by 2:30 this afternoon, and he's still not home, or he would be on here, and then he's got to go back into work at 2:30 in the morning. So wow. He's had a long day. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be shocked if he comes on briefly, but I doubt that he's going to be on for long because he's going to have to get to bed. So the thing that initially kind of caught my eye with your guys' channel was the goats, because I don't know if you saw the shirt that Kimberly got me as a pre-Christmas present. It basically said, don't ask me, or I'm the husband, don't ask me about the goats, I just live here. And that is a very true statement. Not that and it's huge. It takes up, it's from my belly button to my neck. It's just this big circle that says, don't ask me about the goat. I'm the husband, don't ask me about the goats, I just live here. And I'm like, that is so very true. You could not have a more true shirt. Not that I dislike the goats, I don't. I enjoy our goats tremendously, but not like she does. I mean, at points I think she loves those goats more than me. I know she gets less. I know she gets less frustrated by them than me. I aggravate her. The goats never aggravate her, despite them pooping on her and peeing on her and hitting her.
Goats do no wrong.
Hey, I'm still in the house though, so I feel like I'm doing all right.
All right. So I'm sitting there, and I'm working today, working away, and she says, Rick, come downstairs. Your lunch is ready. And that's how she says it. So I go downstairs, And she made me this gigantic salad, which looks phenomenal. And I'm like, wow, thank you. And she's, will you like it? She's, this camera, I keep hitting the desk and keep shifting, so I'm sorry. So she made me this great salad, and I look at her, and she's got, she's got sweatpants on, a sweatshirt, she's got a t-shirt over that, and there's goat poop here, and I'm like, you got goat poop on your shirt, and she says, yeah, 20 years ago that would have bothered me. Now it's kind of like how I dress. so I'm like, yeah.
Things like that become normalized with farm life.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I asked her, I really expected her to be on the live tonight, and she's on goat watch. So we've had 10 babies born in the last 10 days, 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And we were really kind of getting not panicky, but a little bit anxious, because of those 10, the first 6 were all bucks. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
The buck fairy is visiting your farm.
Yes. So, those of you that are not familiar with goats, you're going to have some bucks, but the bucks offer very little, unless you're keeping them. Not a lot of people want bucks.
Yeah,
And, so there's
tougher to move.
Yeah, so most of them are going to go to the market. So, if we can have 30-40% bucks, which would be awesome, then that's what we prefer, because there's much greater value. We start our sales on Kiko does, because all of our stock is registered at $750 per head. That's where they start. A buck we might get $250 out of, because people just don't want them. So here's how the Lord works in mysterious ways. So we're having this discussion last night, about all we're getting are these bucks, and I'm like, somebody's telling us something. So we kind of, I wouldn't say we said a prayer, but I'm like, I hope this doesn't continue this path. So this is how God works in mysterious ways. So this morning we wake up, one of the next does, she gives us 2 does. So that's our first 2 does of the season, and then I get a text message from my granddaughter Madeline's vice principal that, hey, you got any bucks for sale? It's like, do I got bucks? I'm going to have them.
Yes, I do. Funny you should ask.
So it's funny you ask. So, all right, enough of me talking. All right. So Marky and Ashley, welcome. We have never chatted. I've kind of been on some of your live streams. I've been on your videos. I can't go to, I always tell people, I'm not one of those that are ever going to watch every one of your videos. I physically can't watch everyone's videos. It's just not possible. But I try to catch them when I can, when they pop up, and then I go in there, I'll watch them and leave comments. And I love your comment. I mean, you come across as very genuine. I was watching one today. I was getting ready for this, and you did one where you lost your buck Poseidon. And I have not seen on of the videos that I've watched, it's been a long time since I've seen a video that was that heartfelt. And so, well done. I mean, you did that great. But you did that with grace. You did that with you could tell how hard that was. And you said something in that video that really kind of struck a chord. And I think with anybody that owns livestock can relate to this. So, and it was something along the lines of, you're going to deal with death. That's just part of the process.
Yes, absolutely.
But you have a lot more along that journey. You're going to feel and experience a lot more kind of life that's created. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I think it's really important with those videos. I try to be as genuine as I can. So I'm really, when you said I come across as genuine, for me, that's a huge win, because I feel like a lot of times when people watch these videos, they tend to tune in for like the baby goats bouncing around. And it's just one of those things that if you're going to be a part of this lifestyle, or you're going to have any type of part in livestock husbandry, the old saying is, if you have livestock, you have dead stock, because life ultimately ends with death. But it's really important that in the moments of that death, like with Poseidon, to just honor his life. There were a lot of moments that I've shared with that animal that instead of being so stuck in the grief and thinking about that loss, that because like really for livestock, especially when you're breeding, that's a financial loss, it's an emotional loss, it's a physical loss. There's just a lot of emptiness that comes with death. But I think if we can fill our minds with those moments of life that balance that out, then we can kind of honor that animal and not succumb to grief, because grief is just, it's a tool. You know, I've said that about mistakes and failures. A lot of the emotions that we feel while we're homesteading are tools that we should be able to use in the next experience. And I think really stopping and to look at that animal's life as a whole and not that moment when they've left us is what really makes it worthwhile. That's what keeps us in livestock husbandry, because I know a lot of people that the moment they witness death, they're done. They don't want anything to do with it. And I can respect that. I can respect that people have personal boundaries where they know what they can handle and they know they can't handle death. And in that case, livestock is just not for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I believe, you know, we give each other advice to celebrate the wins. Like you had mentioned where you had 6 straight bucks and then 2 does births, even though that's pretty normal. After 6 straight bucks, that was a huge win. Yeah. So for us celebrating wins, Ashley recently did like a recap of the last year. And she noticed we had some down spells, you know. We unfortunately had a baby donkey that didn't make it through. We were super excited about. But at the same point, as she was going through all those moments, she found high points as well to go along with them. So, you know, it's making sure you celebrate the wins that do come through, because you're going to have some low periods, but sticking with it. And as long as you have that passion there, it's going to keep you driving through.
That's what gives you peace in those moments when you don't feel very still. That's what brings your soul to that stillness where you can go through with it.
You know that so wonderfully put. You should run for office. I mean, you
No, thank you.
Oh, no, you should. I just asked you a question. You sounded like a congressman running for office in that answer. That was like really, really well done. So, no, I agree.
Thank you.
Those lessons. How old? And you got a daughter.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
How old is she?
So she's 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're teaching your daughter those lessons, and there's just no better education in life than raising livestock, because
100%.
So I don't know if you saw the short. We did a short of the very first kid for this season was a preemie. So we were estimating the bottom teeth had not yet broke through the plate.
Yep.
So we knew it was pretty early, probably 2-3 weeks early. There was a bump there, but they had not broke through the gum yet. Yeah. So it only weighed 3.5 pounds. So LaLa immediately goes to work. We're rescuing this baby. So it immediately comes into the house. It goes into her office. It's on a farrowing heater for a pig. You know, she's got heat lamps on it. It's like a goat intensive care in that office. And she's feeding it every 2 hours, and she's milked the mama, and so now we've got milk in the refrigerator. So she's going through all this. So in the process of doing that, I did a little short of her nursing this baby. And I did it about 9 o'clock that night, and about 3:30 in the morning, with her by its side, it passed away.
It's so hard.
It just stopped breathing, so it's like it went to sleep. And you know, when you cannot feel emotion in moments like that is when you need to stop doing this. Because
exactly
very good point. Yeah,
that's exactly right. You've lost your humanity in it. You have to stop. I'm with
you. Know, when that does not bother you, and I get asked all the time about, you know, how do you? Our last video on Monday was on kind of the economics of goat processing. You know how we went through and we picked the goats that were going to be processed, what we got from those 2 goats, and what it cost us. What were the inputs, and what was the benefit from that? So we had to we force ourselves. And I had this discussion with someone who was not a homesteader. There was an urbanite from Jacksonville. How do you take the life of your animal? We force ourselves to cull 2 animals, 2 does every year. So 2 does, and we've got a very strong herd because we've spent years building it.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
it forces us to look at the characteristics that would make our herd better if that was not bred into it. If that makes, and you said something in one of the in one of the videos I was watching today about you don't want that genetic piece to continue.
Yeah.
And we're constantly thinking like that. And one of our main characteristics is we both work full-time jobs. We can't be having bottle babies. So
Preach.
if that goat does not have good maternal instincts, or is not a good mama, or is not going to feed them, they're not going to be around here long. And that was the case with one of them that went to processing this year. One of them had a torn tendon, detached kneecap, and the other was a really bad mama. And so that's what that video was about. But it was really hard. I mean, I've seen people die. I've seen death. I've seen some pretty horrible stuff in my life. But when I took that goat to the processor and I unloaded her and closed the door, I got in my truck and kind of shed a tear because that is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put your heart and
People
soul.
kind of don't realize that in the process of building up your herd and forcing yourself to call, it doesn't mean there wasn't a relationship with that animal at some point. It doesn't mean that you're not honoring their life. That's one point that I get sore over when someone acts like, well, you don't care about your animals if you call. And I'm like, no, I call because I care about my animals, because I want a better goat in the next generation that doesn't suffer from weak pasterns, that doesn't have a loose udder attachments where the poor thing's udder is dragging the ground. A lot of people struggle to grasp that when we're breeding, and they also don't think about genetics, that we're actually looking at those good characteristics that make a strong goat for longevity and production, and they think we're just throwing goats out in the field and we're breeding them just for fun. It's like, well, no, like I'm actually trying to create a better milker for somebody else. It's to better my herd, and it's to better someone else's herd. It's to help someone's productivity all the way around.
So Marky, me and you can just leave the conversation now.
Yeah. Once it gets on goats, she's
LaLa has arrived and she changed her shirt as you can
No, I just put a
She don't have goat.
put a sweatshirt on over top of the.
So there's her goat.
No.
I'm honored because I know what that means when you're like, I guess I'll put on a clean shirt for someone's.
We'll decide to go out for dinner and she'll like, well, I guess I do need to change a shirt.
Yeah,
right
it's a
there,
sign
That's
of
me.
respect, really.
How bad do I smell?
We got some more folks in here. We've got Nisi, Free Handling Maid. Welcome, glad to have you. Prepped for Eternity Homestead. I don't think y'all have been into our live, so we really, really appreciate you stopping in. We got the Dusty Goat in here. Bland's Promised Land Ranch. That's their between Bland's Promised Land Ranch and Celtic Roots Farm. My son has serious beard envy, and Marky, if he was here right now, he'd be doing this right here to your beard, and I'm going to do it for him, although I think that's really weird. He thinks I go find men to come on the live, and I'm like, no, that's just the thing nowadays.
Yeah, the beard.
So Farmer Brad.
I kind of came in on the back of the conversation where you were talking about culling, and so you may have already mentioned this. But another reason why we cull is because, if I have a problem with an animal, I don't want to pass that on to somebody else. Meaning,
100%.
If I've got, for example, perfect example is your buck that was getting all bucky up on you. I watched that video. Good video, by the way. Great way to explain it. A lot of people don't realize that you got to be aggressive and show them the boss. I'm dealing with big 200-pound Kikos, so I can relate. So if you've got a buck like that, you could probably find someone to sell them to.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a problem. But you'd be passing that problem on to them, and then you'd have, for me, I'd feel responsible if somebody ended up getting hurt by it.
Yeah.
And that applies to any other animal that I have. If I've got one that's overly wormy or something like that, I'm not going to pass that on to somebody else. Yeah, I could sell that animal. I'm sure someone would buy it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pass that on to somebody else and
100%.
I don't want to hand my problem off to somebody else.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when it comes to like parasite stuff, is that, you know, you see questions on Facebook forums all the time about, well, how often should I worm my goat? And my answer is, you should never worm your goat, ever.
Well,
If you have to.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you want the most parasite resistant, because you want
Right.
to be able to put them out on that rough forage and them to be a thrifty goat. I was just telling Mark, I've got one doe that I'm like, she's not thrifty. I have to work to keep weight on her, and that's really saying something for a dairy goat. So I'm like, she's on the list to go out. I bred her to a good buck. I'm gonna hold back any of her does, but she's probably on her way out because she's not thrifty enough. She doesn't keep weight. I have to put more effort into her, and I take it away from the healthy animals. So I'm more worried watching her than watching another animal that's normally healthy that might be giving me small signs that they're getting ready to go over the edge and to sit.
That's one of the things we look at too, is, you know, how do they manage their body conformity? Do they maintain it? I have one, Rick was asking, hey, is she due with the rest of them? I said, no, I didn't breed her. I held her out because last season she didn't bounce back the way she should have.
Yeah.
And so I did not want to put that added stress on her. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna give her a break for a season, and then I'll go ahead and breed her again next time and see how she does. Now, since I held her back, she's put on her, she's bounced right back. And I haven't had to worm her or anything. I don't worm my Kikos anyway, unless after breeding. I used to think that I needed to, but I don't.
Yes.
Sometimes, you know, I'll see one that's got some runny stuff going on, and I call it ice cream poop.
Yeah.
So I'll see one that's got something like that of my Kikos. Soft serve, exactly. There you go. But I'll see one of those in my Kikos, and I'll just be like, all right, either you fight it off or you don't. That's the way it is. Unless they've just given birth.
I've never heard that term thrifty.
Thrifty?
I like that. That kind of describes the process. That kind of describes what you're looking at. I like that.
Yeah. My
dwarfs
goat, she's like, you want a thrifty doe. You don't want one where you're gonna have to just constantly keep her to feed them. You want one that you don't have to put too much into.
Yep. Your dwarfs. Do you hold back on worming them, or do you worm them when you see they need it?
I worm them when I see that they need it.
Okay.
And what I'm using now, I almost never use chemical dewormers, mostly because being more dairy oriented, and I'm sure you understand that as well, like with meat goats. And I think a lot of people don't think about this when they're using the chemical dewormers. There's withdrawal periods. You can't just ingest that. And then someone's like, well, you could use that for soap. And I'm like, the biggest organ on your body is your skin. You're going to pull in that residual
You're going to absorb it
through your skin. You can't use that for soap.
And
so
the thing is,
I mostly use the herbal.
A lot of people think too that it's 21 days withdrawal. No, that may be one chemical, but there's some out there that are 70-day withdrawal. And even more.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. So if you've got a wormy goat that you're going to be sending you're going to be sending that goat off to the market or not the market, to the processor.
Yep.
And you want to put some more weight on them, so you want to worm them. Don't do that are you're just postponing it.
So we got like 35 people in our live right now, and I think it's because Ashley and LaLa are like goat stars, like goat rock stars.
So are you using like Land of Halava, or are you using are you using it?
Avila. And the reason for that is Molly's Herbal has like those 2 dosages.
Right.
You can't use it for pregnant does. So if you have a pregnant doe, you only use one, and if it's not pregnant, you can use both. Avila is across the board safe.
I've got Molly's, and I got the Molly's, and I was going to start using it, but I had bred all my does, and I was like, can't do that. So
Twin Brook Acres said LaLa heard goat from the other end of the house.
I did. I tried to get in as fast as I could. I had to deal with the pigs and the goats, and of course we're kidding right now, so I'm running around. The ones that, my Kikos, they birth out way out in the pasture under a tree, and they hide their kid. So we're supposed to get some pretty cold weather. So I wanted to make sure the ones that were born today were, pretty well taken care of. So
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't blame you a bit. I'm so surprised you're here because in the middle of kidding season, I'm not approachable. Or I'm just like, get out of my way. I just need caffeine, food, and a bed for like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm back out in the barn.
Yeah.
Caffeine right here. Iced
Well,
coffee.
here's how this morning went. So the alarm goes off at 6 a.m. And normally she's up and about, and she's laying there at like 6:08 and 36 seconds. And all of a sudden she flies out of bed and she says, now, goats don't have like a timestamp that you gotta clock in by a certain time. She says,
Yep.
I got an eye appointment at 8:30. So she spends the next 2 hours and 15 minutes in the goat barn so that she has 15 minutes to get ready for her eye appointment and go into town. And I'm like,
Okay,
yeah,
here's
you
the
could have
thing.
done this differently.
I can relate.
I don't wear makeup, and I have my hair shaved. So for me, it's a 5-minute shower, pull my clothes on, I'm out the door. But
There you go.
Yep.
that's just the thing.
So tell me how long have you been in the dwarfs, the Nigerian dwarf?
Oh my goodness. So we had boars for almost 7 years?
Yeah.
This is my 3rd kidding season for them. And
Okay.
I really liked having my big boar goats, but they were just so tough on our infrastructures. Like incredibly tough.
Like,
And
like-
I started looking into homesteading, and I'm like, well, we don't use the meat as much as we would like to. We were mostly focusing on selling to 4-H kids for market wethers or breeding stock does. And I just wanted something that I could allow to crawl up in my lap that wasn't 250 pounds with horns. And I said, hey, Nigerian dwarfs are great for this. And I had just totally fallen in love with them. I love the multicolor. I love the blue eyes. I love that they're polled. I love the milk that they produce. So
Yeah.
well,
I'm kind of sold on them.
Yeah.
I love the dwarfs. Do you process yours?
We have our first one we're processing this year.
Yep.
So usually, like, my wethers go off. So with bucks, with Nigerians, I find we have an easier time than we did with the boar bucks because they make better pets.
Yeah.
So people that wether them are like, oh, I just want a backyard pet. And Nigerians are perfect for that. But I just had one where he just didn't move. And I'm like, you know what? We're pulling the trigger. We're doing this ourselves. We're going to process him on the farm. We harvest deer every year, but we've never processed it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
always field dress
dress
it
it,
and gut it and take it to a processor. But I feel like our next step into self-sufficiency is to actually do it from start to finish. And this will be a warm-up for deer season next year because he's much smaller, but deer are also ruminants. So I'm like, hey, the anatomy is going to be exactly the same. This will just be a nice starter course. And he's almost there. His name is Taco.
yeah,
Cool. We named our pigs Pork Chop and Ham Hock.
There you go.
That's the
No.
best way to do
Yeah.
it.
So when you do it, if you're not going to do a YouTube of it, if you would videotape it, I would, or video, they don't even call it's not videotape anymore, is it? If you would digitize it, or whatever, and I would like to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, some
I
people
would
aren't
definitely be
comfortable sharing
videoing
that
it.
out there, but yeah, I would like
And
to
we're
see
not monetized yet, so YouTube doesn't have that firm hold on me yet where you're not going to give me any of this if you don't do what we want. But also, I feel like that's really important knowledge to share, especially in tough times.
Oh, yeah.
So even without this, it's more gratifying to me to know that we're helping someone else to become self-sufficient and to see even beginners can do this. It's not hard. And most of the time, I'm a visual learner. I have to see someone do it. So even though I've got all these butchery books, like they do me no good. I actually need to be hands-on or at least see a really good video.
Let me go check out what that was.
We just heard a very loud crash
Maybe there's
from
something in the kitchen
downstairs.
that shouldn't
Oh,
have.
no.
We've got some pretty bad winds here as well. So.
I think that was the
And
dog.
They just ran up the stairs like.
I think it was Ellie getting up on the stove.
It could
and
be a
something
storm too.
So yeah, my Great Dane, she likes to. She's a counter surfer.
Yeah.
We have one of those, and her thing lately is we've been bad about leaving the top of our garbage open, but it's usually after he puts coffee grounds in.
Yeah.
So the last couple times she's gotten into the garbage, there's coffee grounds all over the house, and they are just. We have the Great Pure Mix, and we have a miniature Australian Shepherd who's already high strung anyway. So you can tell they've ingested the coffee grounds because they are just like one end of the
Pupils are
house.
dilated.
Here's the thing. I've got a Great
We
Dane.
learned our lesson.
I know.
I've got a Great Dane.
Colors for real, right?
Yeah.
They are so jacked up.
We have our Great Dane, but my son has an Australian Shepherd mix with a blue healer.
Oh,
So-
wow.
Yeah,
High energy.
they're pretty wired. He's got 2 of them, and they are just. I could not imagine Dixie on coffee. Oh no.
That was
So
a
what-
long night. They did not want to settle down.
So do you dehorn your Nigerians? And if
We
so,
do.
why?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. And actually, because we plan to show, and a lot of people that we sell to show, and for
4-H,
ADGA sanctioned shows or for 4-H, a lot of counties will not allow dairy goats to have horns if they're going
Okay.
to be shown.
Okay. So it's a
So
show.
that's number one. And then number
That's
2,
hard.
I also look at flu. Even though he's a small guy getting aggressive with me, horns add an entirely different
Oh my.
tool to that craziness. I don't need that extra chaos.
Right.
But I mean, I don't find horn goats any easier or less easy to handle than disbudded goats.
Yeah.
The
Our
boars
boars
always
have-
had
yeah.
horns, and I never really got horned unless it was on accident. Like they were swinging their head to be like, "Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
You're petting
Yeah.
me."
See, I
And just
like the
happened to be in
horns.
way.
I kind of view the horns as a management tool because now
Yeah.
I got something to hold on to. Yeah, when I'm given a 250-pound buck a vaccination that he does not want,
Yeah.
those horns are a great tool for managing that animal.
Yeah.
100. We still have one last boar. She was a rescue goat that we took from an incredibly terrible situation, and she will never be sold. We had 2 that were forever goats where it's like, I don't care what happens, this is the home until the day you die. So we still have one boar, and I love it because she's got handles where the Nigerians, I'm like grasping for legs and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
you've just got handles. It's great. I don't need a collar for you.
All right, I'm yelling at Madeline. Hold it while I put the collar on. No, you hold it while I put the collar on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Paula, I'm not my son. I don't know how to correct an echo, so I don't know how to fix that if there's still an echo. I mean, I don't hear it at all.
Are you hearing an echo, guys?
I'm not on our side.
I don't hear anything. It sounds good to me. It
Mm-mm.
says echo from Ashley.
Oh, it's probably because I'm really loud.
Okay.
Me too. That's okay. So we're just talking about horns and not. I've got 2 dwarfs. I got my dwarf herd from a friend of mine who I do 4-H with,
Mhm.
and she has boars, and she was getting rid of all of her dwarfs. So I bought my entire herd. I got from her, except for 2 that I bought, or 1 that I got as a registered because I wanted to add to it. And then the other one was because someone else could no longer care for the animal and asked me to take it. So I did.
Mhm.
So all of them are either naturally pulled or disbudded, except for 2. And Cookie and Penny. We call Penny Fat Boss Lady. Okay. 'Cause
She's as
Penny,
wide as she is tall.
she's as wide as she is tall. And I love the dwarfs when they run because their back legs just kind of go boom, 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 boom. They don't
Yeah.
bend. They just kind of go like this. So then she waddles, So because she's so short and so wide, sometimes I will intentionally kick her feed bowl to make it make noise so she comes running, because I love to watch her run because it just cracks me up.
So Jules says, goat rock stars. I see a music video coming soon.
Yep.
So anyway, Penny and Cookie are the only 2 that have horns.
Mhm.
Penny and Cookie cannot be in with the disbudded or pulled dwarfs because they beat up on them, especially
Yeah,
Penny.
They
Penny is,
know. Yeah,
he
they
is
know they have
fierce.
that advantage for sure.
yeah.
So here's
So what I had to do is I had to put Penny and Cookie. Now, mind you, Penny's on the large size for a dwarf. Their max size is like 75 pounds or something like that is what it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
She's 74. So she's a lardo. What can I say? So fat girls rule. That's all there is to it. So anyway, I put her in with my Kikos, my big ones, because she was so rough on the other ones. Well, she's done great in with the Kikos. Mm-hmm. She's done really well in with them. A Cookie's in with her, so they're both in there. They do great until kidding season hits. Well, now she started beating up on the Kiko babies.
Oh,
yeah, that was kind of a weird thing we run into yesterday, because we had to, we keep her in with we keep Penny, the horned one, in with the full-size Kikos, because
that's what I was just explaining to you.
So when the babies are born, now the babies are starting to run around. She's in there beating up the babies because
so I have a 3-day-old Kiko buckling and just kind of like, and I was like, oh no. So then I'm in the situation where I can't put them in with my other dwarfs,
Yeah.
And so.
Hold on one second. Let me ask. So if anyone, LG Homestead is asking who else in here has goats and what kind. So put that in the comments and I'll splash it up here. And then we will let, if you've got any questions for our goat rock stars, put them also in the comments and we will have those answered, because remember what I said when we first started, I'm just the husband. I don't know nothing about goats. I just live here. So
anyway, I ended up having to pull Cookie and Penny. So they're in their own private pasture right now with hay and food, and they're just fat and happy. And this will be my first kidding season with dwarfs.
So Randy Smith, so they got boar goats, and Randy Smith is the better half of White Shoulders Boar Goats. Check their channel. It's a really cool channel. They did some really cool birthing videos recently. So, all right, continue on. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, have you had any issue when it comes to boars and dwarfs?
No, actually.
Have you had any problems with birthing with the dwarfs?
Yes. And the only reason that I will say yes is if you have a particularly petite doe. I've had them. I mean, even my hands are much smaller than his, but to go in and reposition can really be stressful.
Yeah.
Because if you have a doe where she's mature enough and wide enough basically to pass the small kids, but not wide enough for you to get your hand in if you need to reposition, because guys, that it happens. If you're not, I don't know how much people want to hear this, but like if you're going to have goats and you're going to breed them, you need to be ready to go elbow deep in kidding season, because it's going to happen.
And it doesn't matter what kind of goat it is. You're going to have to go in at some point. It doesn't matter.
It just is going to happen. And I would say that for anybody in here that does dwarfs and you're getting ready to go into your breeding season, make sure that you know your comfort zone and that vet number, because we have a great relationship with our vet. We had one that we brought in about a year and a half ago that I couldn't get it repositioned. All I could feel was a rib cage. So I knew she was presenting sideways, and his hands were bigger than mine, but he taught me, he's like, go to the side. He's like, with these dwarfs, he's like, you literally have to get right in where you know that kid's sitting, and he's like, and just mold, like you're molding a bread or molding clay, like to get it repositioned, because he couldn't get his hand in. I couldn't get my hand in.
As you're going in, you go in straight, and then you kind of push off to the side to get around that kid, because you're not going to be able to go over top.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We had one. What was Siggy's birth last year? Here's what we have learned. I say we. What I have learned is I would rather take what we're having so far are all either singles or doubles. Mm-hmm. I'll take a good healthy single or double any day over a triple or a quad, because the mama can manage those much better than they can these gigantic numbers of kids. I mean, tell them about Sigrid last year in that birth. That was horrible.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. She presented, both her kids presented head first at the same time.
Oh no!
So as they were coming out, you saw two noses, and they were stuck, and she was struggling bad. And so, of course, I had to push the one that was on. I pushed the one on top back.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I was able to get the head out, and my granddaughter's having to hold the head out because it wanted to keep going back in, and my arm's in there pushing the other one back.
Yeah.
So we ended up losing the doe, the one that we pulled first, but the boy that came out second.
Yeah, we're pretty sure the first one, the one that really caused the problem, she ended up pulling that one. That one was a stillborn, but then we had two healthy ones come after that. So
Yeah.
That's
I
so
agree.
tough.
Yeah.
It happens. It's like you said,
It does.
you know,
It does.
you got
I
to
think
be
that-
ready for it. So
I think the most stressful thing is for newbies when they're first going through their first labors with their goats and like, well, how long should it take and what am I supposed to do? And for me, I'm just like, you need to be researching months before this happens.
exactly,
You
and
need
that's
to
the
be
thing.
researching. And I mean, my mentor, when she first was talking about repositioning, like I don't know if I can do that. And I worked with the vet. I shadowed him for years. I've seen him go in for so many calves and foals and goats. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. And she's like, well, just, she's like, glove up real thick. Get really thick gloves. She's like, get a trash bag full of stuffed animals. She's like, and practice reaching your hand in and seeing and trying to feel with your hand. She's like, close your eyes and try to see what you're feeling. Because that was my hardest part with my first reposition. I'm like, I don't know what I'm touching. She's like, you just got to close your eyes and you got to just envision what you're feeling because you can't. She's like, if you can't get it repositioned within 10, 15 minutes, she's like, you need to have the vet on the way. She's like, you need to already have called him 20 minutes ago and then you need to get them there right now. But there are just times where you're just not going to be successful.
Grace Family Homestead says, my son is wanting to get into meat goats, but is still researching. So from your perspective, and so think about this for a second, from your perspective, each of your perspective, what should a new, somebody that doesn't own goats, never owned goats, what's the first thing that they need to do before they ever bring a goat onto their property? So wait one moment. All right, there's 30 people in here. Number is between 0 and 40. The exact first person to exactly get the number gets $25 Amazon gift certificate. 0 and 40. Guess the number. Go.
So.
And it counts. I'm the ruler. I determine what's right and wrong, and who's the first one to do it, not you.
Well, the fact that you say that he's researching, that's a plus. Research. And after you get goats, don't stop researching. Keep researching. Find articles, whatever.
Stephen McKee, aka Farm Girl, you are the winner. So, Stephanie McKee, aka Farm Girl, you are the winner, and it's a goat person. Look at the picture. Woohoo! All right, so you are the winner of a $25 Amazon gift card. If you have your email address in your about page on your channel, if this is a content creator, then that's fine. I will look and I will get it and I will send it to you. If you don't, you need to send me an email, and my email is on my about page. So I will look at it, but if you don't have it on there, then go ahead and look. Second giveaway, number between 0 and 40. This is for a t-shirt. Go.
Can we talk now?
Yes.
You're interrupting our goat flow, man. So, the research thing is big, but I think the best thing for you to do is find other goat owners and go visit their farms.
Yes.
Interact with the goats. Ask questions. If you can go during a time that they're doing any type of work with the goats, such as drawing blood or a kidding season or even just trimming hooves or whatever, giving CBTs, anything like that. If you can go and be a part of that and do it before you get your own, then you kind of have an idea of what you're getting into.
100%. 100%. And my word of advice is in my area, vets that will work with goats and are knowledgeable about goats are few and far between.
Yep.
Call around to your local veterinarians, figure out who knows or will be willing to treat goats, and make that your livestock vet.
Little Frenchy in Big Texas, Ann, you are the winner.
And what type of treatment they're willing to do. Because you'll get a vet that'll say, okay, if you run into a situation where you've got a bad injury or something, I'll treat it. But if you're just talking basic stuff, no, I'm not going to, I don't do that. Because you'll get vets like that, especially if you get a large animal vet that does horses and cows and stuff like that. And the thing to remember with that too yeah, they're ruminants, but they're not a small ruminant. There's a difference.
Exactly.
And a lot of people think, oh, I'll just have my cow vet come out, you know. Well,
Tillman Family Farm says 7.5. Now, so now that you guys have spilled your opinions, here's Randy Smith. Rick, give my shirt away too. I'll do that next week then, Randy, because I'm going to run out of time. So I'm the one that generally does the infrastructure. And if you're going to bring goats home, you better make sure that you have the infrastructure to support those goats, because depending on what you're getting, you said something really important earlier, Ashley. A meat goat, a full-size meat goat, whether that be boars or Kikos, will destroy your pastures. If you think you got good pasture or browse, you won't have it for long. Whereas Nigerian dwarfs are a fraction of that impact on those pastures.
Yes, they are.
I mean,
I know. I loaded up the hay feeder in the dwarf pen, and I went out there and I was like, man, the Kikos are killing the hay. And I go in and the dwarfs have still got hay, and I'm like, yes, I still have hay. I don't have to fill it again.
Hey, you gotta celebrate those wins.
So I'm not sure. I think I know what you're saying. The best life. Read this out.
I need a new.
All right, the best life.
I have to agree with what you're saying on the infrastructure, because otherwise that just adds a lot undue stress to the whole situation. Yeah. And then at once it feels like you're just playing catch up. You know, you get part of the fence done, they're getting out. Then you're back to the barn or shelter. It just becomes ring around the rosy trying to keep up with everything.
The very first goat show. The very first goat show we ever went to, we were just literally embraced by all of these national breeders, and there was one of them that kind of grabbed us by the collar and said, "Let me show you around." And they literally took us pen by pen by pen. It was probably a 2-hour tour of 100 goats, and said, "This is why this one would stack up. This is why I would buy it. This is why I would buy this one." Mm-hmm. And then by the time we're halfway through it, he's telling us to now evaluate these goats, and we became pretty darn good at it. But he gave us 2 bits of advice that I'm thinking, this is like really dramatic, but it's absolutely true. Number 1, if water can go through it, a goat can get out of it.
Yep.
Yes.
Number 1.
Yep.
Number 2, a goat has one mission in life. It's trying to die every single day.
That was
You're spot on.
You know,
I cannot agree more with those statements. I've met few animals that can turn hay feeders into death traps. Yeah. But goats can do it 100%. And
you're thinking to yourself, how does that happen? How do you do that? I had one, you know, the feeders that hang from the carabiners on the fence, right?
Yeah.
He got his hoof caught in the carabiner.
Wow.
How do you do that? And how do I get you out of it? Because he's like hanging there, you know.
If you want to witness the impossible, just buy goats. Yeah. They prove that they show you the impossible every day.
Yeah, we had a little one born recently. We nicknamed Mighty Mouse. And one day Ashley went out to the barn, and it sounded like the goat was coming from near the roof of the barn. And we're like, what's going on? Well, we didn't think about it, but we just recently got a load of hay and brought in the hay elevator and left it there. It climbed up the hay elevator and was like... And then just calling out to us from above us, which was a little odd.
Get me down!
All right, so we're gonna.
And Mom was looking up, and I'm like, "Where is this goat?"
So I know we could talk for another 2 hours. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, folks. Yep. But I try to keep it right to an hour. So Mark and Ashley, send me an email, and both of you get a shirt for being our guest. Do you ever get yours, Ashley?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I got mine.
Okay, all right. Now you get
my live on Friday.
Yeah. All right. So now you got another one. So send me an email that has the design, color, and size for both of you, and I'll get them out to you within the next week or so. This has been a blast. I knew we would have fun with this, particularly if she joined, and because you know she takes these goats. I do the building and things, and she does the goating.
I know how that works.
So. All right, folks.
You can on goats. She can go for a couple hours for sure.
Have you ever heard us wrap up one of our videos? How we close each video?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How do we do that?
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
Okay, all right. We always close with the golden rule. So, folks, always remember:
Yep.
Treat others as you would like to be
Yes,
treated.
Yep.
And-
LaLa Farm, Mulberry Branch Farm, out!
Yep.
All right, folks, good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye.